Frederick Chopin was the greatest composer for the piano the world has ever heard. In his short life, he wrote 169 works, the bulk of which was for the solo piano. His genius lay in large part to his seeing his own limitations. Weak in the traditional larger forms, such as the concerto, sonata, and symphony, Chopin purposely made himself great in small things. Today, 121 years after his death, Chopin is considered the father of modern piano style and technique. Thus it is that no pianist can consider himself major unless he has mastered some part of the Chopin repertoire. The greatest test of this for the young virtuoso comes every 5 years in Warsaw, the capital city of Chopin's native Poland. There, the world's best young pianists play for honors and fame in the Frederick Chopin International Pianist Competition. There have been 8 winners since the competition began in 1927, and one of them was Alexander Uninsky, a French Jew who is now an artist in residence at Southern Methodist University and a professor of piano. Uninsky is 60 years old. He won in Warsaw in 1932 when he was 22. It propelled him on a distinguished career as a recording and touring artist.
This competition in those days was extremely important because there were only 2 great international contests, the Chopin Prize and Queen Elizabeth, which just started also about that period. And immediately after I won the first prize, plus the prize for the mazurkas, the musical world was open to me. I mean, all the great orchestras in Europe, in South America. I came to the United States later, in the middle of the war, but everything was open. I started to play all over the world, including Extreme Orient and all that. It was a real break for me.
World War II, however, robbed Uninsky's career of the impetus it had gotten in Warsaw, and he spent the prime years of his life fighting and fleeing the Nazis, from France to Spain to South America, and finally to the United States. But perhaps his greatest contribution to music today is in his teaching. This past year, for example, 3 of his students won 3 of the 4 first prizes in the piano competitions at the Juilliard School of Music in New York. David Golub won the Beethoven Prize, Carmen Alvarez the Mozart Prize, and Jeffrey Swan the Chopin. All were students of Uninsky's at SMU before they went to New York. Jeffrey Swan is perhaps the most unique of Uninsky's pupils. A husky 18-year-old with a blunt face and stubby fingers, he made history by becoming the only freshman at Juilliard ever to win a first prize in the piano competition. Uninsky flatly calls him a genius.
It was when I just came here, around 1962, or beginning of 63. His mother asked me to listen to her genius child. I didn't take that very seriously because so many mothers think that their son is a genius. But when he came, I was simply amazed by his ability, talent, and he was an 11. he already played like a little virtuoso. He studied 5 years with his mother, who is Gloria Swan. And we worked for 7 years. I obtained for him all the scholarships in SMU. The school helped him, and also private organization helped him. And then we obtained for him, I participated in that scholarship to St. Mark's School, which he finished as valedictorian. So Jeffrey is not only a musician, he's going to
Swan's talents will be put on the line when he will be among 7 Americans and 90 Europeans and Asians vying for the Chopin Prize, which his teacher won 38 years ago.
I don't care who enters the competition. It doesn't change my playing or my thinking about one bit. I figure it'll be tough, but that doesn't matter to me because music is really not possibly competitive like horse racing or something. It's just a question of value judgments, and it can be politics, and it can be, there's just so many things that go into it. You don't know whether it'll be honest or dishonest. You just have to assume that if you play your best, that your playing is better than everybody else's or is good, and you'll win. That's all I can do. I don't care who else enters, or I'm not going to change my playing for this judge and this judge or this kind of judges, or like there's a set of Polish editions out of the Chopin music, which is made by the society that runs the competition. And they'll say something about the music, and if I don't like it, I don't do it anyway. I'm interested in the music and not in the competition. It's an international competition of a sort where you have nothing to lose unless you're already making a big career, and you have a great deal to gain. I might go there very well and either bomb or play well and just not get noticed. With 90 people, it's possible the judges just might not notice you. It can happen. And then, so what have I lost? I've had a trip to Europe, paid for. I have a grant by the International Institute of Education, so I've got to see Warsaw.
A genius to succeed, to become a great professional, a great artist, is a very hard work. Without work, nothing can be done. It's a very long and difficult training.
I first started playing by ear, at first, and she held off from teaching me, I think. She was teaching my big brother and big sister. I started playing theirs and her pieces.
Well, you were about 4 years old.
3 years old, I guess I started sight reading. I started playing by ear, and I taught myself to read and everything. She finally started teaching me, I guess, when I was about 4 and a half. Yeah. I started playing recitals and things like that when I was 6, I think. At Juilliard, where I go to school now, I study with Beveridge Webster at Juilliard. There are a lot of pianists with a lot of technique. You hear a lot of good technique. There are not very many good pianists because there's just not very many good musicians, period, anywhere, really.
In my days, it was much wilder, much freer. If you hear the old recordings of the great Paderewski, for example, the left hand was always before the right. He would take any liberties. And with music, today we don't do that anymore. Some people, in those days, it was a century of individualists. It would be written forte, they would play pianissimo, or vice versa. It would be written ritenuto, they would do an accelerando, you see what I mean?
My reputation at Juilliard is being a wild pianist, in quotes.